Don't, Joanna, stop rustling your papers.
Think we're going to rustle. It's fine. We'll just say we have papers. You may hear some rustling of the script because we don't have an autocue. We're doing it all remotely today.
In my Canadian family, we would roast a turkey 2 days before any turkey holiday and then microwave the turkey on the day of. So what if I was cooking a turkey right now?
Okay, that's good.
I'm not. You just cook it 3 days in advance. You cook it for 3 days at 150 degrees, and then you microwave it right before you eat it. It's delicious.
That's the Canadian way.
It is.
All right. Welcome to the Daily Beast podcast. I'm Joanna Coles, Chief Content Officer of the Daily Beast.
And I'm Samantha Bee, Chief Content Officer and keeper of Matt Gaetz's cameo passwords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. You know, get it?
I'm going to get him to leave you a Thanksgiving message, Sam.
Do not put $1 in his pocket.
This is supposed to be a MAGA-free zone. We're having a wholesome episode in honor of the holidays about families. So we're talking about two people who shot theirs, sharing his insider knowledge on the Menendez brothers. In the download, we have the Daily Beast CEO, Ben Sherwood, who grew up in the same neighborhood.
I swear to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, I cannot wait to have that conversation.
No one knows more. And for our Beast of the Week, we're speaking with the legendary director, writer, and producer, and someone I have known for 35 years, Richard Curtis. His movies glow with the embers of the warmth of a fire on Christmas Eve. You know them. They're, I think, Americans' favorite movies about British people. Love Actually, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, and he's got a new animated film called That Christmas on Netflix. In Britain, he's basically the equivalent of the crown jewels.
It's going to just take wild horses to get me to not quote his own movies in his face, which I'm sure he experiences all the time, and as a proper British person, absolutely loves. But before I embarrass him so thoroughly, we did have some fun together last night. Should we tell people about it?
Yes, let's tell people. You kick off. I just want to say that you were wearing the most fabulous pair of boots possibly I've ever seen. I've never seen you in heels before because normally you come in sneakers or flat boots. These were magnificent.
Why,
they were
thank
hugging
you.
your legs all the way up to the knee.
They were hugging my legs, and they were like a nice, like a muted red, like a very fall vibes. Actually, kind of the color of my eyeglasses right now, which if you're listening, you obviously can't see. Okay, so we went to, I don't even know how to characterize it. Okay, very exciting. Gloria Steinem has these salons in her home from time to time. I don't know how often she has them, but you were invited to last night's salon, and you took me as your plus one. So first of all, I just want to say that being in Gloria Steinem's house is exciting. I have been there once before, and I was trying to describe it to my friend today, and I said, it looks exactly as you think it's going to look. Like, it's very beautiful and homey, and it's just filled with just kind of like historic like artifacts of her career and life. It's warm and beautiful. And when I went to get my coat, I looked in the secret inner sanctum, and she has a beautiful garden.
She does have a beautiful garden. It's a beautiful apartment. It's full of sort of amulets and things she's collected along the way. It was very nice of her to invite women round for, how would we describe it?
Women of the media. Like, it was a fairly large group, and I think it was mainly kind of heavy, some real heavy hitter media women kind of talking about what comes next, what does it all look like under the new administration, a chance to kind of express, a chance to, I don't know, just think kind of big ideas for the future. And there was it was very interesting. I'm sure we can't really speak too specifically. Everything was really like safe and off the record and all of that. I told you that I went to a different Gloria Steinem event, and afterwards, somebody at the party sent me a gigantic floral bouquet.
How nice.
Yeah, in the shape of a vulva with a clitoris made out of, I guess, labia minora, made of like darker colored flower. Anyways, it was so gigantic. I was not expecting it, and then it arrived, and it was huge. It was like such an impressively sized bouquet. It was like something that like Missy Elliott would have in the foyer of her home, like large enough for a large foyer. So it just dwarfed. It was larger than my apartment.
Imagine being the florist asked to put that together. You're like, yes, I want lots of roses in the shape of a vagina. I can't even begin to imagine what that was like. And also there'd be lots of thorns in it if it was roses.
Well, I think they probably it's vagina dentata. Is there's a theme. You have to reach right in and then you're it's a horrible experience.
Last night, it was a little bit, I felt like it was a little bit like being caught up in a primal scream.
A little bit. I liked what you said. I liked what a lot of people said, and then I put an idea out into the world that is more evil. I was like, "I have an idea and it's evil," and I think that we need to get better at, playing the long game and maybe real quick, getting a billionaire to invest in my offshore troll farm that because I would like to go out and just correct disinformation. I feel like this was the election of unchecked disinformation, like from top to bottom. So you can have a lot of conversations about a lot of different things. There's a lot to talk about for sure, but ultimately people went into those voting booths believing complete untruths. They just went in believing things that were just the opposite of true. And I think the only way to combat that is to get very good at the techniques that the GOP employs, and that requires shamelessness.
The point you made got a lot of clicks. A lot of people were snapping their fingers when you said it, came sort of bursting out of you. And I do think this has been described as the podcast election, but for me, it was actually the TikTok election. 40% of Americans get their news on TikTok. I think young people get their news from TikTok. Lots of it is unchecked. Lots of it's self-appointed news experts that are just grabbing it from all sorts of unknown sources. There's no effort to make sure that it's balanced or that it's true. And I think that we have seen a lot of the fallout from that. And as a
Yeah.
journalist, it really concerns me. At The Beast, we make a lot of effort to make sure that the stories, we're always trying to put any accusations to people so they have the chance to respond to them. And I agree with you that the misinformation and disinformation, which the point of it when it's led by bad actors like Russia or China is to confuse people. It's not necessarily to give people a different view of something. It's just to confuse them.
And to create discord, to get people fighting, to get people just an like just it's shock and awe. And people go into the voting booth and they go, yeah, man, Joe Biden overturned Roe. And you're like, excuse me? So I think it's wonderful and it's really great to talk about like building a bigger network of women and podcasting and all of that stuff is great. But you really have to think in a very advanced way about using tools that everyone else is using them for good. There's you can use those tools for good. I do believe that. You just need a totally altruistic cadre of billionaires who
Well, if there are any billionaires listening and they want to fund Sambi's troll farm, I am struck whenever I do television. If you go on X or Instagram, less so Instagram, but if you go on X, the response is always incredibly unpleasant. And then you look at the bios of the people that are supposed to have created this comment on what you've said, and they're obviously all made up.
If there are any billionaires out there who expect no ROI whatsoever, except perchance having people be better informed, I think it's a very worthwhile endeavor, and I'm happy to hold your hand and do something evil together. Do you celebrate? As a British person, do you celebrate Thanksgiving?
Of course I do. Of course I do, because I have 2 American children who love Thanksgiving. My younger son is cooking. He is a very good cook. He taught himself to cook from YouTube. During COVID, he and a couple of friends actually set up a cooking business, delivered meals round the hood that we were staying in. It was very fun. And so he never cooks for me, obviously, but I appreciate his cooking anytime I can. So I don't know what he's making, probably turkey. If he is, he'll be spatchcocking it and stuffing it with all sorts of things. But it's really fun for me to enjoy his cooking.
That's so nice. What do you do on Thanksgiving? It's hard for me to imagine. You're such a busy person. You're always busy. It's hard for me to imagine you sitting around in pajamas with your feet up.
I've never done that in my life. I've got my niece coming to stay for 4 months from the UK, which I'm very excited about. So I'm taking her to a friend's apartment, which overlooks the parade. Entirely for her benefit, of course, not for mine. Although I will say I find the parade actually very moving. I'm not someone that's easily moved, as we've discussed. I'm British, so I have no feelings. But I do find it quite moving, the parade. So I'm excited to take her. What are you doing? You must be cooking.
I am cooking because I do love to cook. We're having like a small kind of like family affair. I hope that one of the balloons, there was a year, and I don't remember when it was.
I know
But
what you're
I
going to
keep
say, when the balloon knocked over the lamppost.
No, when
Oh,
one balloon slightly deflated and nestled his face into the ass cheeks of another balloon. It's my favorite.
rude balloons. Was it Charlie Brown?
I feel like it was Spider-Man and, maybe a Power Ranger. It could have been Santa. It was just full just ass play on, Central Park West, and you know what? That's my Thanksgiving, just looking at that photo over and
That's
over again.
not a family affair.
So
That's
much
not what we're expecting.
so much joy. Ah. I'm so excited to one day turn this podcast into a skincare podcast because I got a sample of a moisturizer that turned my skin pink like a baby mouse.
Oh, was that the point of it?
I don't know.
Can you tell us what it was?
Can I? I don't know. It's a clearance moisturizer and it has like rose in it. And I put it on my face and I was like, oh, look at me. I'm a newborn baby mouse. Look at my skin. It's kind of glow. It's kind of pink right now.
Have you got it on right
I
now?
do. Look at how pink it is.
Yeah, it's looking a little flushed. It's looking like but you are looking young. You're definitely looking young,
Yeah,
Samby.
I'm a newborn baby mouse. Of course I look young.
You've figured out your lighting better than I have. You've got some sort of orange rose tint on it. I feel like I look a bit like Joe Biden in the debate today when he just sort of went. Do you remember how he just
Oh, yes.
disappeared? And you were like, is he still there? What's going on? Is he there? And he was like translucent.
Translucent.
You know what he should get? He should get some glasses frames like yours. Then you would be able to see them. You need a feature. You need a feature, one feature. And he's just,
That'll solve it.
it's like a transparent door. It's like one blue vein faintly pulsing.
Oh my god, this is a relaxing Thanksgiving episode. This is for people to be spatchcocking things and whooping potatoes, I guess, and that's why we're gonna talk about something
You're making
juicy.
Thanksgiving dinner sound
Mhm.
sexual. How are you
Oh,
managing to do that? Spatchcocking chickens, whipping mashed potatoes.
whipping
I'm learning a lot from you.
silky potatoes, silky puddings. S Spotted dicks are everywhere.
Absolutely not. This is just, it's going south. This is a family podcast. This is a family podcast.
And so we shall talk about murder.